So you're informed that recording is in progress. So since we already start, I will just recap and Nina will follow me or add something. That artificial intelligence is new industrial revolution. And the important thing when it comes to journalism and creative industries, marketing, etc., it is that AI doesn't feel. We are the one who can feel and who can be creative. Nina, did I got the point?
It's absolutely true. Even AI recognizes its own limitations. They know, I asked, and we use a lot of content, and I sent ChatGPT an article and I said, can you make this into a rock song? And it did a brilliant job. It actually did a brilliant job. But then I gave it a rock song and I said, can you turn this into an article? Not so much. It still needs our input to be able to create something valuable. And as long as AI is learning from us, we should be safe when it comes to some decision-making parts of the process. I do think that there will always be human touch needed for context. I jokingly said that, sure, AI can write certain articles, but I cannot imagine an editor-in-chief who will sleep lightly knowing that an AI is deciding the front page. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, surely it will optimize and automate certain things. For example, if I'm into gardening, AI will know that it's possible that my front page and your front page will not look the same. This is something that is already happening on TikTok, for example, in social media, where if you take someone else's phone, the app will look completely different based on their interests and your interests. Different content will be pushed. But there is still a human being that needs to say, hey, this content is actually fresh. A lot of the most read pieces of content, the most read news is breaking news. AI cannot break a story. They can't go outside. They can't interview people. They cannot sit next to someone and make them pour their heart out. I hope, and this is my optimistic way of thinking, that AI might actually buy us some time to do more meaningful work.
I
But
agree. Yeah. Yeah, please continue.
honestly, it's a huge puzzle. What a time to be alive, in a way.
Yes.
Um, and people are scared, and rightfully so, because this is a huge shift. However, I am not as pessimistic as most people because there is this old analogy that when print was invented, people said nobody's going to read books. And then radio was invented, and people said nobody's going to read the newspaper. And then TV came, and everyone said, oh, there is TV, radio is dead, so is the print. And then the web came. We still listen to the radio. A lot of people still read print newspapers. Sure, it's shrinking, but still, there are certain niches where it's very sustainable. People still read books. Some of them still use paper. Not everyone uses Kindle. I think that good things change, but they always find their audience. That would be probably my view on this.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I'm very optimistic, but I'm naturally optimistic.
Mm.
But I perceive this one thing we are always use when we are talking about artificial intelligence. It is still yet. So yeah, it is. Wow, what a time to be alive! Because in this field, I think we cannot be bare observers, but
Mhm.
from the other hand, maybe we will. Anyhow, I think that we will tackle all these questions throughout our interview. So I will just ask all of you, just raise your hand through emoji using. Are you pessimistic when? So who is pessimistic? Please, raise your hand. Who is not? Then don't raise your hand. Are you pessimistic with artificial intelligence when it comes to overtaking people and humanity? No, no one. Perfect. Okay. Gina is okay. So please, Gina, when we finish this official part, let's say like that, it's not official because officially we are here to discuss. Please elaborate that. I will remember. So, Nina, you've mentioned that you are optimistic that artificial intelligence is our ally, I can say like that, maybe, or conclude from your perspective. And sorry, so
I
just
choose to be optimistic.
excuse me?
I choose to be optimistic.
Perfect. Yeah, we have to. So, if we perceive artificial intelligence as our ally, how close we need to monitor that ally?
I view artificial intelligence as fire in a way. It can be a huge ally, but you do not leave the fire unattended. And we need to make sure that this intelligence is closely controlled because we need to remember it is also human made. And humans are far more than intelligence. We need to control the data. We have multiple instances where people are using artificial intelligence to send the images of their kids, to turn their kids into a cartoon. Who is making sure where these images are uploaded? Who is making sure that they're going into the right hands? Some people are using ChatGPT as therapy very regularly. People are telling very intimate things to an interface. We need to make it very clear that there need to be people responsible for this. I think that we are used to holding our phones as digital avatars of our entire life. We have our bank accounts there, our emails, our reminders. But now we're uploading even more. We're uploading our own consciousness in a way. If AI knows my interests, my doubts, my insecurities, my fears, articles that I find interesting or terrifying, someone needs to protect humanity both from AI and in a way from itself. I mean, we still have people forwarding chain emails that are scams and people who are clicking on phishing links. And now we have artificial intelligence that looks far more appealing than a random email with a weird subject that people still regularly click on.
Thank you for mentioning that. As you know from our preparation, this would be a question later, but we can continue on that subject, I would like, because I think that we are still media illiterate. Like when I say media, like digital media illiterate, we haven't learned to recognize false from true information. And now we have to become artificial intelligence literate. How?
This is a really good point, and it's a really tricky one. I remember seeing this image that was super viral. It had like 5 million likes, 15 million views of a polar bear being rescued in the Arctic. And everyone saw that. It was super popular. And the bear is smiling. The bear is smiling. And people are commenting, such a beautiful video. Brave, brave people saving that bear. So when it comes to this, I am slightly scared because we really need to educate people on how to recognize AI. And it's more than funny bear videos. We have deepfake. We have people who are impersonating politicians, people who are using deepfake videos to assume someone else's identity. And it will become very, very important to be able to differentiate between AI and reality, because then what happens in AI will echo in reality. You can literally destroy someone's career over this or someone's personal life. So we lag behind. And I think there are trainings that media professionals use, and we have gone through them before AI to see if the video is real or fake. Are there any special effects? Are there any inconsistencies that might point out that this content is not real? And still people make these mistakes. We still have huge news outlets falling for April Fool's jokes. Every year it happens. We have a lot of misinformation circulating on the web. So I think that know thy enemy. We need to know what AI looks like in order to recognize it and to be able to react. And we need processes in place that when we do recognize something is AI, we can react.
Yeah, this will be hard. We are all aware of that, I think. In the fast moving world, we need, with artificial intelligence, we need to stop, make a pause, see better, analyze better. So this will be a very, very big challenge, I'm sure. We will get back to this a bit later, because this is, I think, it's separate subject, I can say, but very important. And in every field where artificial intelligence is used, I think in every for now, this needs to be elaborate, and to start, not only elaborate, but we need to start doing on that from now. And we are not doing that. We are still discussing. So yeah, we need to be, I think we need to be a bit faster. So if we get back a step back, we were starting we have started this conversation from replacement. So can you give us some examples where artificial intelligence enhanced the quality of content? And then to refer to I found some example from 2019, and of course it's from Japan, where they already integrated in that time artificial intelligence character on their public broadcaster. So let's I will repeat, because this is a bit long question. Do you have some examples where artificial intelligence enhanced creative material, let's say in journalism, in marketing, in creative agencies?
Absolutely, and we are using this for quite some time. So one of the things that AI is helpful with is repetitive tasks. For example, every person working in video editing will tell you that they hate putting subtitles in. It's a long process. AI is doing that now in a couple of seconds. It is saving us a lot of time. Automatically transcribing this interview, for example, where you can have all of this very neatly posted, beautiful. What it can also do is summarize huge chunks of texts. A lot of people are now doing too long, didn't read. We can have a huge media research that can be summed up quite nicely, maybe even creepily nicely. The AI is doing this really, really well. Also, another thing is design. We were doing a major event, and AI is now helping us map out where we will put certain banners, how we can conceptualize the space. So in no way does AI make a final call, but it is making the process far more practical. Another major thing, and it's a beautiful thing, is if we are doing, for example, a historical story about an old wise man, right, who used to gather around people in medieval Serbia. We now have AI tools to recreate this scene very quickly and make it more interesting for audiences, especially younger audiences that do like to see a face, for example. So now you can have a Roman emperor, dressed up in a tracksuit, if you so please, quite quickly. And I view it in a way as special effects. Special effects don't make the movie, but they sure make it more fun. So yeah, definitely. And we also use it quite a lot now to brainstorm ideas. Out of, say, 15 suggestions, at least 3 will be usable. And then you work with that.
Yes, perfect example.
Mm.
Questions for this interview, for example, I asked ChatGPT, and of course then go through it and modeling it, and yeah. But my brainstorming partner was ChatGPT, so before it wasn't possible. And what about, you mentioned some medieval characters, etc. And what about when it comes, for example, journalism? Journalists as characters. Now it's possible.
It is possible, but I do think that we will soon realize that just because something is possible, it's not necessarily useful.
Okay.
I'll go a step further and say if all news outlets And this is even a marketing perspective, but if all news outlets begin using AI characters, you know, me talking to a camera will be vintage. It will be, an interesting exotic thing having a human being talk. Another thing that AI is all the rage now, and it's quite safe to call it a fashion trend. Now we use AI everything, like blockchain was, like NFTs. Obviously, this is far more important and substantial than a fad, but there is some truth that now we want to use AI everything, right? Even
Yeah.
Zoom before logging in told me this is AI enhanced meeting.
Oh,
And yeah,
I
and I
didn't know
really,
that. And I'm the organizer. I set up the meeting and
while I was reinstalling the app, they basically said, now we are super enhanced by artificial intelligence. Sure, lovely. But really, why? I think a major point here is that, yes, we can use AI influencers. There are people who are now using farms because TikTok is paying content creators money. They have created fake people who are now making views and effectively making the money. But we shouldn't underestimate the younger generations who know that this is AI, right? So I do think that AI will be a thing. For example, if I want to create a channel, I don't want to put my face on it. Sure, I can make an avatar. But I do believe that human beings will be very relevant, and that if we all hop on the AI bandwagon, it's going to become even boring fast.
yeah. And you mentioned one important thing, I think. You said young people know.
Mm.
So, interesting. Maybe young people will be in bigger possibility to know what AI is and what AI is not. So, because they will grow with that, and maybe they will be more familiar and more bigger experts to recognize when something is AI. So, yeah, maybe the nature will solve it in a way. Let's say like that.
Hopefully, that's a good point. Yes.
Perfect. So, okay, yes, I understand. But for example, in 20 years, we will say, okay, we are so nostalgic for people, so then we will get back to people. Okay, it's okay because we are keen to do that. Now we are so nostalgic for music, for example, and then we have a lot of different same music, let's say. So good point.
Mm.
Thank you, and thank you for this very optimistic review on the subject. So I think it's also important for all of us. Okay, so calm down. It's not all that black. Uh, so let's continue with some AI tools. You've mentioned farms, TikTok farms, but maybe to share with us what is useful to use in our industries
Mm.
from AI tools. Because for me, for example, I'm a lazy user, so ChatGPT is perfectly fine for me, and I'm not
Mm.
keen to research deeper or further. But I know that a lot of people are. So please share something useful with us.
So ChatGPT, obviously, yes. Sora is brilliant for creating both photos and videos. They can even work together. So Sora is a video editing program. It can even do text to video. I can text a prompt, for example, create a dog that is driving a car, have a car have wings, make it pink. I want it to be done in a documentary style, and it's gonna create the thing, and it's gonna look very real in certain cases. A lot of editing where you see, for example, world leaders having a tea party is done in Sora. Google Open AI Studio is very much here, so it is very powerful. And it's going to be even integrated probably in Google Search. Google Search is already becoming somewhat AI. Another one is Grok, kind of interesting for Balkan speakers. It is done by X, which is a Twitter equivalent, the same thing. Grok is very, very well versed in creating images. And another one that is also useful, for example, is say Perplexity. really good for research, in-depth stuff. There are a lot of them I use for video editing, captions.ai for anyone that needs to put subtitles on their videos. There will be different tools that I can probably share with you that are used for kind of taking out pieces of this interview, for example, and making YouTube shorts out of them. I was very skeptical. They can be good at it. So those are some of the ones I use most often. There are also tools like runway.ai. Runway.ai is really good for, then again, creating video, creating simulations, also quite good. So those are, I think, the major ones. However, some of them are not free. Some of them do need a bit of subscriptions. A lot of them are credit-based. You buy a certain amount of credits, and then you can sort of use them a little by little. So those are, I think, the main ones that I am using for my everyday work. ChatGPT is definitely powerful. Another thing that is going to be a skill of the future, it's not just the tools themselves, it's how you make prompts. So, for example, I do think that you need experience to get the most out of these tools.
Yes, and you need to use them, but then again, when you use them, you're learning them, teaching them. So yeah, but interesting. And we have one question from Randall. Have you found any good integrations of AI in any social platforms?
Oh, that's a really good question. When it comes to social platforms, not quite. Mostly because as a media business, we have huge social media channels, and we are kind of wary of allowing AI that kind of power. What we are seeing is we are using AI to give us suggestions for SEO, for example, all the time. So now it is integrated into the way we work. It will suggest certain keywords while you're working. It will also give you examples of articles that you can connect with the article you're working with now, which is quite useful. One of the things that's not really AI, but was widely used in social, it's called Echo Box. And they basically used similar tools to optimize the articles. They suggested signatures, they suggested headlines, they suggested copy, basically. It works well, I won't lie. ChatGPT can also learn your style. Grok can also learn your style. Grok is good for this. And you can tell, I have, for example, a gardening webpage or an interior design webpage, right? And I tell them, learn my style and make a weekly plan of posts for me. It can do that. It can do that, and it can even be quite creative, especially for those brand posts that all kind of look the same. It can maintain that image, but you have to be aware that it's going to look the same. And also AI tends to repeat itself. So unless you really can remember, it will say, you know, this is a lovely design. It's cozy, made for a perfect Christmas. Expect it to just kind of do a spin-off of this multiple times. So a lot of AI tools can be used for social media, and I think that some of the major players are now implementing AI as well. I do think that that part of boring, repetitive social media content can be replaced by AI, mostly because it wasn't that original to begin with. Anyone who, for example, worked with banks will even tell you that they would prefer AI potentially because they have such strict guidelines for content that even if you go outside of the line, they're going to put you back into the box. So, yeah, I think that that will be kind of the main point. I think that a lot of copy will be automized.
Yeah, perfect point. Thank you. So eventually something will be, but that's okay. For that part, if you have strict guidelines, you cannot be creative, then fine. the best ally would be artificial intelligence. Why not? So we'll continue in this in this flow, let's say. So how have you seen the increased use of AI affect the typical workflow in media outlets, website, creative teams? You mentioned a lot of tools, but let's say to recap this, because we already mentioned some tasks you are commonly delegated to AI. So let's round up this part.
So summarizing articles is a big one. Another one is creating tables. So ChatGPT, for example, is really good at this. If you're doing an article about economic changes and you give it data, raw data, it can actually turn it into very comprehensive tables that are quite good for readers. Another one is it can do research for you. And if you prompt it well and really demand to know sources, it can help you quite a lot. So if you're doing a deep dive in, say, politics or political changes in Cuba, and you say, hey, I need only their agriculture, it can do a brilliant job. It would take human hours or days to just go through certain things. It can even make its own conclusions. So we are using this. Another one is we are using it to kind of scour the web. ChatGPT is becoming a new Google in that sense. Why would I need to Google it if ChatGPT can look through everything and find it? Another one I didn't mention, and it's quite useful, is DeepSeek. It's a Chinese version. We are also using artificial intelligence as translators to check grammar quite a lot. It's really good with languages. So it's quite accurate with languages as well. We are using it to transcribe things. So we now can edit more video because we don't have people doing subtitles, which is a simple, boring, time-consuming task. We are also using AI to create recreations of scenes, which has been quite popular with the readers. So if there was a car crash, video editing softwares like Sora can recreate it quite well. If we are doing a demonstration of how a new technology will work, we no longer need people to draw it. Now it can be done in seconds. Another huge one for creating content is you can do different voices. So you can change a voice. So that is being done by AI quite a lot. Optimization is being done by AI also quite a lot. So if you have a huge article with a lot of different quotes, stories, it can check your grammar, it can optimize it for Google, it can give it headings, it can summarize its conclusion, it can give you tips. And this is really interesting. We gave AI a chunk of text and we said, how can I improve this? And it gave brilliant advice. You basically get a bit offended because how dare you, you know? It said, alternate the length of your sentences more. Stop using that many commas. Create the, so it was right, you know? And it's really good feedback sometimes, definitely.
So we can learn from each other, okay?
Yeah.
And what are the risks in using AI? For example, get too lazy. Okay, if you are so smart, then here I have quotes. Create something for me, or I have idea like designer in marketing industry. I have idea. Can you please make it better? What are the risks of using and limitation? Let's say risks, because we are mentioned limitations, I think. How not to become too lazy in doing your creative job, working your creative task.
This is a huge risk, especially for younger generations that are now learning with ChatGPT. So I do think that your mind, in a way, is a muscle. You know, it's not a muscle, but it needs to be trained and it needs to be kept in shape. I have already caught myself stopping myself from using ChatGPT in certain cases, because you do need to train yourself to be able to brainstorm anything. And if my first impulse is to ask someone else, I'm gonna get slower. I'm gonna get more lazy. It's a funny analogy, but it happened to me the other day. I use an electric toothbrush, and in the middle of brushing my teeth, batteries emptied and it stopped. It took me full 2 seconds to realize that I can, in fact, continue brushing my teeth even if the battery is not working.
Yes, me too. Yes, yes, very good example
And
because
I remember, like, what will
like
I
what
do
now?
now? Yeah, exactly. So I think we need to become kind of more reliant, but we do have calculators, right? And we still have people who are mathematicians. So let's hope that having this tool will not make us too lazy. But I think the only answer is to discipline ourselves and to challenge ourselves.
Yes, and I think that we cannot run away from this. We have to
Nope.
learn how to use it. And for example, we had last webinar was about education and artificial intelligence, and of course a lot of challenges. But one common ground was that children will use it, so just learn them how to do that and guide them toward using it most responsibly they can. So yeah, we need to. There is a. This is also paradox with artificial intelligence. Our work will be easier, but we have to work a lot on ourselves to know how to properly use it and to not to be overtaken by the machines and
I
required.
do
But yeah,
think that you said a really, really important point. I do think that some of the work will be easier, and I do fear slightly that we will have a higher workload. So if someone was expected to say write 2 or 3 articles a day, now it could be 12. Because hey, you have ChatGPT, like do work faster. So maybe we will not have time to be lazy.
okay, one more good point. Yeah.
Mm.
So okay, we have definitely people be careful with every aspect of artificial intelligence. Um, so now when I can say pass through all tools or concerns in relation to workflow. I would like to get back to those ethical aspects in literacy we've mentioned at the beginning. So I will just continue from our previous conversation and ask you how can media and marketing contribute to improving this literacy, or maybe these professions will exploit the situation and deepen the ignorance among people, because this is
I
very
am,
powerful tool.
yes, very true. Very true. And also, I do think it will deepen the divide in a way. Not everyone will be able to afford certain tools, maybe. Or as the tools grow and they compete, it will be a different kind of economy. So maybe someone will only have basic ChatGPT, but someone will have advanced. Maybe someone will have Sora, someone will have Sora Pro Ultimate 10, right? And their videos will be far better. We could have different movie producers who are only directing artificial intelligence created movies. I think that this will create the divide. I think that it is going to be more important than ever to have someone controlling both the digital space and the financial aspect of this. So a really expensive AI tool can replace an entire studio and the entirety of its crew. It can change lights, right? It can change characters. It can change their, outfits. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult question. So I am in a way nervous to see how this plays out because I don't think anyone knows that. But it's going to get really competitive really fast. And I think that if we allow the panic around this to spread, it even influences some of the people's choices, right? I know people who are now reluctant to enter design fields, and they would have been brilliant designers, but now they're questioning the very career because by the time they finish school, that whole job might be automated.
Yeah, that
Yep.
it is not that optimistic, and we started very optimistic, Nina.
But
Yeah, a lot of questions. So, how when we are talking about referring to public, to broader public, there is
mm,
also a lot of space for misuse, but also a lot of space for education. So, what do
mhm.
you think that our professions will strive to? Because our professions
Um,
are to, let's say, selling professions. When we say selling, I mean sell the
mm.
information, sell the media, sell. Okay, we have someone who is not muted, so yeah, please. We'll try like this. So we are now already entering that ethical aspect. What do you think that
Mm.
will marketing and journalism be allowed to educate on the subject?
So I would be very hesitant. We frequently discuss ethics in the media, but there is a catchphrase, a bit of a catchphrase. Media is a product, and so is marketing, and they're competing in the open market. It is definitely necessary for media to educate. However, it is not something that will happen unless the media world has to do it. So
Very true.
simply, yeah, because it's not popular and it's not lucrative either. Um, I do think that marketing is way past ethics in practice. In theory, sure, but in practice, no. We already have artificial intelligence enhancing images, both in meta platforms that are basically selling you a picture of a very different beach resort because it's AI enhanced, the water is not that blue, the sand is not that white, and we are definitely using this to sell the vacation. So I do think that this will be something that media needs to do along with institutions. So there will need to be trainings, especially for older citizens who are struggling with the internet and now they have a new reality. There will need to be, it will need to be in schools. You know, children will need to learn about this very early on. So,
Sorry, I will try to locate the unmuted guests.
okay. So,
Um,
mm,
Excuse me. Sorry, I don't know if if you can hear us, please mute your account. I think they heard us. So sorry, Nina, please continue.
no problem. We already have parents giving iPads to their kids. Now imagine it's a matter of time before we have advertisements that are interactive and powered by AI.
Yes.
So it's definitely happening. I would kind of maybe be very strict with people who have to label content as AI. TikTok is already doing this, for example.
Mhm.
I would make it illegal to pretend something is not AI.
Yeah,
So
like in advertising, especially of some products, you need to label that it's advertisement. Yeah, perfect
exactly.
suggestion.
Yeah. So that's, I think, very important. Another one is, so I think the most vulnerable groups of people here will be very young and very old, as they usually are. And that we need to kind of reach them. Also, all media personnel, all government personnel needs to go through trainings to recognize false AI. it could take years for someone to prove that it really wasn't them in the picture or in the video.
Yeah, that's completely another subject, and I think maybe webinar in relation to that we can, when something is published, it's over. People won't believe it, even if it's a lie. They will say, yeah, for sure, AI. Everything now is AI. I mean,
Exactly.
that's us. That's human beings.
Exactly.
So you mentioned government, so please continue. So I think, yes, from my perspective, we all need to deal with that. But maybe you mentioned government, especially governments, because they are the ones who brings legislation important for all of us and for any subject. So do you know maybe? In Serbia, do you have some contacts with, as someone who is in digital, in media, mm, uh, do you have some knowledge about our laws on that?
I have seen that someone has been placed as someone who will be kind of head of AI or how the government is working with AI. That sounds a bit reassuring. However, there are no laws that I know of. Maybe some of the existing laws can be applicable to this, based on, for example, fraudulent video or different sorts of manipulation of facts, probably. But I do think that the law is lagging behind quite a lot with this.
Yeah, and I think it's all over Europe. We were already discussed it in previous meetings, webinars. Every time we are discussing legislation, ethics, etc. And I think that is a much bigger concern than will artificial intelligence replace us, because now we see that no, it won't. Maybe it will. It will for certain change our realities, but when someone want to use artificial intelligence to exactly for changing realities, then but labeling, for example, I've never heard from someone that brought that concrete example. Label, this is AI content, and then we are fine. I think for the beginning, of course.
Another interesting part of this whole AI thing is that people are forgetting, when we talk about AI and how it might change everything, we're forgetting a very important thing. Someone needs to be responsible. If it changes, I have people who are working with money, tax advisors. Sure, AI can advise you, but what are you going to do if AI is wrong? Who is going to sign the paper? Right? Who is going to physically be responsible for this? If it takes over attorneys, a lot of things in court are not done by sheer data. Especially in the United States, you have jury duty. How can ChatGPT convince the jury?
Yeah, no, there's no possibility. Yeah, this is okay. Natasha has a question, I think, or not. But Natasha, if you have a question, we will ask you. We will include you in the discussion a bit later. So yeah, good point. And we were discussing about. We were discussing about different professions, and for example, we had in Zagreb actually a dissemination event as part of this big conference as part of this project, where doctor said one good point. I'm radiologist, and artificial intelligence haven't replaced me yet, and I draw my own car, related to quote of some inventors, let's say, I want naming them, who said that in 5 years everyone will be replaced, and 5 years was they said that in 2015, and now it's 2025. So I'm glad that we are back on that optimistic side of the conversation. Even though we need to understand everything seriously when it comes to artificial intelligence, and I think that we need to understand it rapid. So we don't have that much time as with, for example, media and digital literacy that I've mentioned. We have to move very, very fast because artificial intelligence is moving. So whether we accept it or not, we will have to stay up to date and continuously improve. That is one of, I think, our main conclusions from this conversation. And in particular, that is what this project AI4VET4AI is striving to. We are mapping skills. I mean, we already mapped them. We are now preparing educational material for VET learning. So what skills do you think journalists and marketing professionals need to develop now to stay competitive in this AI-driven future?
So I think that all of the skills are already there. They just need to learn the tools on how to use them. So basically, prompting will be the skill of the future. Basically, talking to AI in an efficient way. They need to have a wide array of tools, so constantly scanning for new options. Another one will be critical judgment, both on AI and what AI delivers. We cannot simply copy paste what we are given into this. Another skill, a major one that you have mentioned, is not becoming lazy. I think it's going to be a real skill in the future. People are saying that AI will bring in more different jobs. AI ethical specialists, AI automizers, right? Basically AI whisperers, people who will, AI integrators, right? If I have an accounting company, I want someone to learn AI, how to shorten my workload or my work processes. In those terms, another major skill will probably be learning how to know what AI is and what AI is not. And I think we are yet to find out what kind of skills we need, but mostly maybe even to identify where we can use it in our own work.
Perfect. So we are usually talking what professions will not be will disappear, but now you've mentioned a lot that will appear and will be concrete result of artificial intelligence and changes within it. Perfect. So I think I hope that you, as our co-meetings associate, I will call you like that, not public, are very learned very interesting things and heard very interesting stuff. So this would be repetitive question, I will say, because you already, Nina, mentioned a lot of times through our conversation, but it's related to advices that you would give to agencies or individuals. So if you need, if you have something to add on this, but I think that we just, let's say, around that, not to be lazy. Okay, that is one advice. Do you have some more advices?
Look for the people who can really innovate and teach them how to do it faster with AI. Don't be very quick to fire your copywriters or your social media managers, because if everyone does, you will have a competitive edge. And I am yet to find a client who can precisely tell AI or anyone else what they want. A lot of this will be people who need to explain to you what might actually do the work. So unless you have someone who knows what they want and what you need, they can't even ask AI for it because they don't know what that is. So this is, I think, watchful waiting and also playing with the options we have now. Agencies, I know, for example, a famous book dealer in Serbia that is now using all of the summaries behind the books, all of the reviews are done by AI, and those are a lot of books. Yep. Yep. They realized that AI can read a book in 5 seconds and do a summary in 3 seconds. But if you are competition, like a competitor, competitive publisher, I would use celebrity writers to do that review for me. And I would make a huge campaign out of this. I would make sure that everyone knows that my books are being read by people and not by AI.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much, Nina, for, I think, from my perspective of view, very, very valuable insights and
I'm glad.
advices, because you already, you're thinking forward how to you're thinking forward how to use this situation in your benefit, let's say. And yeah, of course, so we need to keep being creative, open-minded, both for artificial intelligence and for something that is completely complete contrast to artificial intelligence. You have answered all my following questions I prepared. So let's recap this from your side. What would be your ultimate advice to us and to everyone, of course, in these industries, journalism and marketing, but to overall society, because you tackled some societal issues also.
So don't panic, but listen and look around you. The main point, the core of our businesses never changed. The medium through which it was delivered changed, but the core of its business didn't change. So if you have a valuable story about a single mom who is a working class hero, it can be a really good radio drama, it can be a good article, it can be a good video. It can be turned into a marketing campaign for, I don't know, a clothing brand for women who never give up. You know, it can be turned into a lot of different pieces of content, but you still need a human to talk to the mother and realize that this is an important story and turn it into a piece of content. So if AI ever replaces humans, it should be smart enough to fear humans because they created it in the first place. So
thank you very much. Yeah, very inspiring conclusion. Very inspiring.